Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we read between the lines of corporate filings to find out what is really going on. Today, we're diving into a report from Lightbridge Corporation that might just involve them selling a boatload of their stock. Let's see what that means for investors and the company. Alright, so we have a Form 8K filing from Lightbridge Corporation. Now, these 8K forms are usually for really important events that happen between their regular financial reports. Think of them as urgent announcements from a company to us. The public, this one filed on the 26th of September 2025, is no different. As usual, this is coming out of the US Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC. As most people call it, they're the watchdog for the stock market, making sure companies are being upfront and honest. The company is Lightbridge Corporation. They're incorporated in Nevada, and their stock trades on the Nasdaq Capital Market under the ticker symbol LTBR. The earliest important event reported here happened on the 26th of September 2025. So here is the big news in this filing. On the 26th of September 2025, Lightbridge Corporation filed something called a prospectus supplement with the CSE. This little document is essentially an update that allows them to offer and sell up to a whopping $75 million worth of their common stock. They're redoing this through something called an AT, the market equity offering. What does at the market mean? Well, it's a fancy way of saying they can sell their shares gradually on the stock exchange, like the Nasdaq when prices are favorable. They're using a previous registration statement, which is like a pre-approved plan to sell stocks. And this prospectus supplement is adding more details for this specific sale. They already had an agreement in place called an open market sale agreement with a company named Jefferies LLC, which is acting as their sales agent. This agreement basically sets up the framework for how these sales will happen. This whole process is really about Lightbridge Corporation having the flexibility to raise capital or money by selling more of its own stock directly to investors bit by bit on the open market. They filed this because they are now officially ready to start selling these shares. The total amount they can sell is up to $75 million. Now, as part of this filing, they've also included some exhibits. We see an opinion from Gary Henry SQ. This is typically a legal opinion from their lawyer, confirming that the shares they are issuing are properly authorized and legally sound. It is like a stamp of approval from their legal team. Then Teresa consent from the same legal professional. This means he agrees that his legal opinion can be included in this public filing. It's standard practice to ensure all legal aspects are covered. The really important part here is that by filing these exhibits with this 8K, they are incorporating them into their main registration statement. This means those legal opinions and consents are now officially part of the larger plan for selling stock, making everything official and transparent for potential investors. And finally, the report is signed by Seth Gray, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Lightbridge Corporation. It's signed and dated the 26th of September 2025. This shows the top leadership is aware of and authorizing this significant move. So, what is the story here? Lightbridge Corporation is positioning itself to raise a substantial amount of capital, up to $75 million, by selling more of its own stock. This is a common strategy for companies, especially those in growth phases or facing specific financial needs. It allows them to get cash without taking on debt, but it does mean they're rediluting the ownership stake of existing shareholders. For investors, this means that while the company might be getting money to fund its operations or growth plans, their current percentage of ownership in the company will decrease. It is a trade-off between company funding and shareholder dilution. We would need to look at their other recent filings to understand why they need this cash so urgently, but this 8K clearly announces their intention and the mechanism for doing so. Now, looking at this filing more broadly, Lightbridge Corporation is clearly in a capital raising mode. The decision to sell up to $75 million in common stock indicates a need for significant funding. On one hand, this provides the company with financial flexibility to pursue its strategic objectives, whatever they may be, without incurring debt. This could be for research and development, expansion, acquisitions, or to bolster its balance sheet. However, issuing new shares, especially through an AT, the market offering, which can happen at variable prices, dilutes the ownership percentage of existing shareholders. If the company's stock price is not performing well, this dilution can be more keenly felt by current investors as their portion of the company's value diminishes. The legal opinions included suggest they are taking all the necessary steps to ensure this stock issuance is compliant and legitimate. Without seeing their balance sheet and cash flow statements from their most recent quarterly or annual report, it is hard to say definitively if this is a sign of strength or a signal of necessity due to financial pressure. However, the sheer amount being raised is considerable. A key risk with at-the market offerings is that they can sometimes signal to the market that the company is under financial strain, potentially impacting the stock price negatively. Although in this case, it's being done under an existing shelf registration. Ultimately, investors will watch closely to see how this capital is deployed and whether it translates into tangible improvements in the company's performance and profitability. Alright, that is our breakdown of Lightbridge Corporation. Latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think this is a smart move to fuel growth or a sign of potential financial trouble? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps. And subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate finance. And don't forget to check out our Discord community, linked in the description, for more discussions and insights. Thanks for watching. See you next time.